from the Department of Commerce, the Director of the Workforce Division, and like I mentioned, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Kyle and Patricia, for inviting us to present. What I'm going to visit about is just really briefly a few of the programs that we have here at Department of Commerce. I'm going to dive much deeper into the Find the Good Life initiative and the recruiter network that is a part of the Find the Good Life initiative that Kyle already referenced. Going to go into a much deeper dive in that program because that was the request of Patricia to educate people on what that is and what we're trying to accomplish here at Department of Commerce. And then I'll turn it over to Jennifer Dahl, who is the operation intern and youth office person here at Department of Commerce, to talk about the youth office and operation intern. And then Barry will wrap up from Department of Labor on apprenticeships and how healthcare can participate in apprenticeships just like any other industry that's out there. So a little bit of background, the mission of the Department of Commerce is we lead North Dakota's efforts to attract, retain, and expand wealth in North Dakota. The Workforce Division's mission is very similar. We lead the North Dakota's efforts to attract, retain, and expand a skilled workforce in North Dakota. So a few of the programs I want to visit first about are listed on the screen right now, and before I get into them, I want everybody to know that all these programs are obviously funded through the legislative process, and any one of these could continue to be funded in the next session or could be not funded in the next session. So just wanted to educate you on what we have now, and if there's something that you see could be an asset to you, that is where you contact your local legislator and let them know that the program is valuable to you. So the first program is the Workforce Enhancement Grant Program that was established in 2007. This is a state grant program that goes directly to the community colleges here in North Dakota. So Bismarck State College, Williston State College, Lake Region State College, and North Dakota State College of Science in Wapaton. So these programs are to build or expand or improve the existing workforce development programs. The caveat for this program is that it requires a dollar-for-dollar private match. That ensures that it is a workforce development program that is needed and that private sector is on board in expanding this workforce development program. The second program is the Tribal College Grant Program, very similar to the Workforce Enhancement Grant, much newer. We started that program in 2013, so a much newer program, and then also it does not require a private sector match. These funds are directly granted competitively to the Tribal College Grant Program or college grants or tribal colleges around the state to build workforce development programs. And then the final program is the Rural Healthcare Workforce Grant, which is essentially a pass-through grant that goes to the Area Health Education Centers, or the AHECs in the state. Many of you may be well aware of AHEC, but the mission of this grant is to improve access to healthcare in rural and medically underserved areas by developing programs that recruit staff and encourage North Dakota youth to pursue healthcare occupations. So essentially, AHECs do outreach into the schools to encourage young people to pursue healthcare careers. They, I believe, pay for travel or reimburse for travel and housing for clinical rotations or residence rotations. They have helped a number of HOSA chapters start up in the state. So been doing a lot of great things, and if you'd like more information, or if you haven't been in contact or don't partner with the area AHECs, please let me know, and I'll make sure that I connect you with either Denise out in Hettinger or Bill up in the Mayville area. So, Find the Good Life in North Dakota, the focus of my presentation. So the Find the Good Life in North Dakota was a private-public sector funded program designed to help solve the greatest challenge in the business community in North Dakota, and that's workforce development, recruitment, and retention. To give a little bit of a background on that, this was the idea of the North Dakota Economic Development Foundation, who is essentially the Department of Commerce's advisory council. appointed directly by the governor. And these individuals are industry leaders from across the state and across multiple industries. About 4 years ago or so, they sat around at one of their quarterly meetings and they said, we need to do more for the state. What is our biggest challenge? And they've all decided that workforce is the largest challenge. No matter what industry we are in, the largest challenge is workforce. So what do we do? So the idea that they came up with is, we know we don't have enough people in North Dakota to fill the jobs that we have. When this program first started, we had 25,000 unfilled jobs. The oil boom was nearing its peak, and our unemployment rate was under 3%, just like it still is under 3% right now. So they decided that what we need to do is we need to do some advertising, some marketing to out-of-state job seekers to let them know that there are opportunities in North Dakota. Well, what we learned is that it's not just about the job opportunities. If it was just about the job opportunities, our jobs would be filled. People would be coming in droves, and they did come in droves to North Dakota. But if it was just about the jobs, they'd be here. The issue we had is we have an image issue. North Dakota has either a negative issue or no issue or no image. They either have a zero image or a negative image when it comes nationally. If we had time, there's a video out there when North Dakota was selected in 2014 as the happiest state in North Dakota, in the country. Diane Sawyer did a not so nice story about it, kind of making fun of North Dakota. And barren countryside, rutted up section line, a cow in the middle of nowhere, abandoned farmyards. That's what people see that's what people think when they think of North Dakota. So we had to work very hard in order to change the image of North Dakota. So the first thing we did is we developed a website that really, we tried to capture what North Dakota was all about, not only linking in the tourism that Kyle already mentioned, but then also just the quality of life, the great schools, the low crime, the communities that are around the state. What does North Dakota really have to offer? So today we've had about 106,000 unique users. About 69% of the people that are visiting Find the Good Life are either on a mobile device or a tablet. And the top states that have visited Find the Good Life in North Dakota have been Illinois, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and California. Illinois, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, we have marketed in those states, and I'll go into the digital marketing campaign that we've done here in a little bit. But California, we have never marketed in. People from California just find North Dakota. So even though our metrics show that they're in the top 5 and consistently in the top 5, we've never marketed there. A couple of reasons. First of all, they just naturally come. Secondly, we can't afford to market in California. It's pretty expensive. So what you're seeing here is just a picture of the landing page of Find the Good Life, and the picture of the cute little girl that's there. That's a scrolling picture. There's different pictures that scroll through that show different things that are going on in North Dakota. And then on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see just some of the top jobs around the state that we pull off of the job service website every other week or so, just to have some fresh content and showing those jobs and the pay that it has to offer. So this launched in May of 2014. Accomplishments so far, this isn't the prettiest slide I've ever put together with all the numbers, but just wanted to show you what we've accomplished so far. Total reach, 4.3 million people we've reached directly. About 160,000 have been through going to the website. We've sent out emails to about 664,000 people. There's been print ads where about 3.1 million people have seen those print ads. 416,000 or almost 417,000 people have clicked on our digital ads, which I'll show you here in a minute what those look like. About 22,000 people we have reached through different hiring events that we've attended, whether they've been military or actual universities. We've gone to 11 military installations around the country, educating people on job opportunities and what North Dakota has to offer, and then 19 universities and colleges, which has been primarily in Minnesota. So add that all up, we've reached or add that all up, we've had 105.4 million digital impressions. Doesn't necessarily mean somebody may have clicked on that digital impression, but 105 million people have seen a Find the Good Life digital ad. If any of you have ever been on your computer and you've been shopping for something, and then the next day in your Facebook feed you see ideas of those things that you were shopping for, that's that digital advertising that we were very similar to what we were doing. Kind of that Big Brother thing. Right here are some examples of the digital advertising that we had out there. So if you were on in one of the states that we did some heavy marketing in, if you were searching for jobs, these digital ads will be what would show up on your computer screen. We have a very heavy focus not only on job opportunities, but then really the quality of life. Now, to give you an idea of the states that we hit, in 2014, we were hitting about 15 different states. Similar culture, similar industries, similar climate is what we were focusing on. And then also we looked at different metrics. Where has tourism been marketing? Where are the job seekers that are registering through job service coming from? We looked at all those different metrics, and those were the 15 states we decided on. In 2015, we narrowed our scope down to about 8 states. Again, those people that are registering on job service the most, the people that are visiting the Find the Good Life website the most. So we narrowed our scope. The reason we wanted to do that is we wanted to make sure that our budget went farther. In 2016, we narrowed our scope even more. We got into the social media realm, which I'll show you here in a minute. We hit about 6 or 7 states with social media in 2017, and then the digital campaigning in 2016, we narrowed it down to 5 states: Illinois, Michigan, Minnesota, Ohio, and Wisconsin. Again, those states that are visiting job service and Find the Good Life the most, wanting to stretch our funds as far as we possibly can. I haven't talked budget yet. Really briefly, in 2014, we received funds from the Hess Corporation of a total of $400,000 to kick this off. We used $400,000 in tourism funds, as well as additional matching funds to continue this effort. In the 2015 legislative session, we requested another $300,000 to continue this, with the need to match that $300,000, which we have successfully matched that. So all in all, we've been able to throw about $2 million out in different advertising, digital campaigning, social media, things like that, to get the word out about what North Dakota has to offer. Real quick, here's the social media efforts, or a couple ideas of what we did. The Experience ND Facebook page is what we used. It's been around for a long time. That hashtag has been around for a long time, so instead of creating a new one, we stayed with that. We did some fan recruitment ad campaigning in March through June of 2016. We did some promoted posts in March or June of this year. The Fargo post alone got 1,600 likes and 355 shares. And what I'm talking about is what you see on the right-hand side of your screen right now. Downtown Fargo ranked one of the best. Got a lot of traction. We did a website conversion, which essentially was revamping the North Dakota Ambassadors webpage. So these 3 efforts increased traffic to the Facebook page and doubled the fan base to over 13,000. That was back in the May to June time frame. Right now, we have almost 20,000 people following Experience ND because of our continued pushes through social media. Now to the Recruiter Network. So part of the initiative was to develop something where recruiting managers, directors, generalists, HR individuals could have a sounding board, could get together and work together collectively to recruit and retain their workforce. Now, this was something that we initially kicked off in December of 2014, I believe, is when we kicked it off. And it really started as a focus group. We grabbed in a number of HR people from around the state in different industries. We just sat down and had the conversation. We want to build a network of HR people that aren't afraid to talk about their proprietary information on how they recruit, how they retain their people. And to tell you the honest truth, I didn't think it was going to work. I was very skeptical. I thought to myself, there's no way that people are going to be comfortable talking about their best kept secrets. They're talking about their competitive edge candidly and openly. Well, happy to say I was wrong. So we developed the recruiter network, and the goals of the network. After we developed it, we sat down and said, okay, what are our goals? And this came from the members, our initial members. They wanted to sit down and be able to share best practices. They wanted to help the state attract people to North Dakota, and they just wanted to be a sounding board for each other to talk about retention, talk about hiring issues, talk about their HR software. What are you using? What aren't you using? What have you used in the past? What works? What doesn't work? So to date, there's about 38 employers that are representing 78 different individuals from across the state and across industries. We have member-hosted quarterly meetings around the state. Our next Recruiter Network meeting is next Thursday in Carrington. One of our newest members, which is Dakota Growers, is hosting the event, so we will go up there. We developed our recruitment toolbox where a lot of Find the Good Life collateral is located, and any time we find something that we feel the recruiters would find valuable, we put on there as well. And then something that I don't have on here is something we started early on was a Google Drive to dump resumes on. Now, we're not trying to replace what job service is doing, because that is really where resumes are posted. We encourage job seekers to go there. But what we created, or why we created this Google Drive, is for two reasons. First of all, one of the early conversations that we had with the Recruiter Network during these focus groups was trailing spouses. How many times have you had a candidate come in, you want to offer them a job, or you offer them a position, and the first thing they say is, I would love to take this position, but my husband or wife or my significant other needs a job as well. So what we do is we ask that candidate or the employer asks that candidate for their significant other's resume, and that's dumped onto the Google Drive, and we make sure that everybody on the Recruiter Network is aware that there's a new resume there, and it's successful. Very recent example, a healthcare facility in Fargo had somebody that they wanted to hire, and her husband was an engineer. He needed a job as well. So that resume was requested. We got it out on the Google Drive. We let people know about it, and hopefully that couple and that family is now residing in the Fargo area. The second reason why that Google Drive is out there is in the event where a candidate applies for a job, is not exactly what that employer is looking for, but we want that person in North Dakota somewhere. Let's throw that resume out there, and maybe even one of my competitors can pick them up as a candidate or as an applicant and an employee. And then lately, there's been a recent refocus on student retention, getting into the high schools and making sure that they are aware of the industries and aware of the opportunities that North Dakota has to offer. So next steps, promoting positions through obvious avenues, so making sure that people are using job service, reaching out to career placement officers around the country at different colleges, just building that network so that employers can reach out to these folks, whether they're in Minnesota, Wisconsin, South Dakota, wherever we can find. We are looking at out-of-state warn notices, which is a mass layoff. They are required to report to the Department of Labor that a layoff is occurring, so we get that information out to the Recruiter Network, as well as any layoffs that are happening in North Dakota, which we have had a few in the last few months. We're making sure that that information is passed on so that they can contact that employer directly or contact the job service office, which is in that community, and make sure that we keep those people in North Dakota. New to North Dakota videos, we made 6 or 7 videos last December about this time. These are individuals that have recently relocated to North Dakota. We had somebody go out and interview them, video them, produce about a minute-and-a-half video. on their experience in North Dakota and what they love about North Dakota. So those are in that toolkit that I referenced earlier. Identifying industry pipelines, so continue to push the job fairs, continue to push different school programs that are occurring, whether they're through elementary all the way up to the university level. And then finally, we are doing a lot of work and a lot of conversations at Recruiter Network meetings about reputation, about culture, about onboarding, to make sure that you are connecting with your new hires so that they stay with you. So that's been a lot of the conversation lately at the most recent Recruiter Network meetings, because retention continues to be an issue that employers want to remedy. So with that is my last slide. I will turn it over to Jennifer and then Barry, and then at the end we will open it up for questions.
Thanks, Wade. I just want to give you guys a little bit of a brief overview of the youth office. It was created by Governor Hoeven in 2009. If you remember, in 2009, a lot of our students were leaving, so they were looking for a way to come up with some opportunities and options to keep students here and to let them know all the opportunities available within the state. So it was designed to invite young people to stay in North Dakota. Some of the other things it does is it helps identify needs and gaps in existing youth programs. We try to identify those and then see how we can help. Our website, when you'll see in the next slide, was to establish a statewide home or clearinghouse for information and services for young people. As a state agency, we have that opportunity to promote everything, whether it be private and public schools. So there was no allegiance, so we could provide information on every opportunity there was. So this is just kind of a glimpse at our website. There are a lot of similar things to what Kyle talked about, except ours are not nursing specific. It does offer information regarding choosing careers. Students can go out there, they can search by industry if they wanted to look at careers in a specific industry or a specific job. They can look at information regarding dual credit programs, finding internships, helping identify college programs. There is a link to the North Dakota University system, and if you go out there and you want to go into automotive but you're not sure what, you can click and it'll tell you which colleges offer those programs. So there's different opportunities out there as far as choosing careers. The dual credit we push in the high school level because it is such a great opportunity. It's a little bit cheaper if you take it in high school, and it does get you through your program a little quicker. We also have links to the Bank of North Dakota, so there is financial information out there. There's scholarship information out there. So again, just a good clearinghouse of different information. We do kind of do what Find the Good Life does. There is a link on there called Thrive in North Dakota, and that just gives student age individuals information as far as what there is to do here in North Dakota. It is statewide, so they can see too what there is to do here within the state. Parent resources, again, aged more towards the parents as far as helping their students choose careers and helping them pay for it. One of the other things we do is career conversations. They're very candid conversations. I sit down with North Dakota professionals and we just have a conversation regarding their career. You know, when did they decide they wanted to be a nurse? What school did they go to? What do they do during the day? You know, how many hours do they travel? And the intent of these is to give students a glimpse of what the job actually is. You know, some students might not realize how many hours an attorney puts in or how much traveling, you know, a surveyor does. So it helps the students research what kind of careers they want and what fits into their likes. One of the things we're actually doing right now is crash courses. Crash courses happen within the fall, usually October to December. What we do is we go into rural schools. There's usually about 10 of them with surrounding schools invited also, and we just give them information. The nice thing about this here is they're done in the evenings, so the parents can come along with the students. They are focused with grades 7 through 12. We see a lot more of the younger grades coming more so than the seniors, but there is a lot of information for them too. We talk about financial information, state scholarship. Bank of North Dakota is there to talk about FAFSA. We talk about career opportunities, school opportunities. You choose between a 2-year, 4-year specialty, going into apprenticeships. So there is a lot of well-rounded information for those students to help get them on their way to finding a career. I have listed our partners. We do partner with the Bank of North Dakota Center of Technology and Business, the Department of Public Instruction, and the Department of Career and Technical Education. We all partner on these crash courses, and each one is represented at them. The last one I had, we were in New Rockford, and I believe there was 64 students that attended, so they are well-rounded. We hear good feedback as far as for being in a rural school, getting this information. We also push job shadows, so you might hear from some of the rural schools that they want to come into your business and, allow for their students to job shadow and see what some of the careers are all about. We too are big on social media because our audience is more towards the student ages. Social media has been really good for us, and it's real basic. We share events, career fairs, teachers training. Colleges have open houses. We've done recognition. It could be as simple as congratulating, State B boys basketball, or showing the DECA leadership that took awards. We also do information as far as articles about paying for school, choosing careers, planning for colleges, and again, as a state agency, we can push information out there from a bunch of sources. We also promote scholarship opportunities, whether they be focal-based as far as an industry or something worldwide, statewide, like the state scholarship. And then when we do new career conversations, we do put a link out there so students, parents, teachers who are on our social media know they're out there. Our career conversations are loaded on YouTube and TeacherTube, so they are accessible within the schools for counselors, teachers to use, as well as students and parents to watch. So a little bit more about the Operation Intern program. It is state funded through the Department of Commerce. It is aimed at students attending North Dakota colleges and universities. With some of our colleges being so close to the Minnesota border, there can be exceptions, but it requires a pre-approval and documentation as far as why that Minnesota student was a better fit, whether it be because they had specific skills, no North Dakota students applied for it, different things like that. But it does require pre-approval before they're approved into the program. The students themselves must be taking at least 6 credits during the internship or the semester prior. So if they want a summer intern, as long as they were taking 6 credits in the spring, it does qualify. Each student can get paid up to $3,000, and each business can get up to 10 interns, so that's where the $30,000 comes from, and that's per biennium program. So every 2 years, you can apply for a max of 10 interns as a business, and that money can be used for their salary, travel, tuition, housing assistance, tools they need for their job, or different equipment to help them perform their internship. It is a 50-50 match, so whether you pay that intern $3,000 or $1,500, it's just going to be a 50-50 match depending on what you actually pay the intern. Some things regarding the companies must be located in North Dakota. The work must be performed here in North Dakota. The program itself can be for high school juniors and seniors, as we've seen, and it also covers apprenticeships. So whether you're using a high school student or a college student, you have some options as far as who you can look for when you hire interns. The intent of the program had a primary focus on the top 5 industries within the state. What we've done in the past is we've reserved funds for high-wage, high-demand jobs as we get that information from job service. But this is kind of where the healthcare falls into, the high-wage, high-demand jobs. If you look on the website, you will see that nonprofits do not qualify, and I believe we've specified in that too, it's more charitable nonprofits than I know some of the hospitals are, considered nonprofits. So the funds are for the high-wage, high-demand jobs, and I believe that's 20% of the money that 30% of the money that we get allocated is for the high-wage, high-demand. The funds are obligated on a first-come, first-served basis. Usually in May of the beginning year, the biennium, we accept applications. That way, when we get our money from the legislature, we can obligate it out as soon as we get approval. And then the program does follow the state biennium. So when you do apply for it, we ask that you apply for what you think your needs will be for those 2 years, because once that money is finished, it's hard for you to come back and apply for more students because the money will probably not be there. So when you do fill out the application, think of your needs for the 2 years, and again, it will be capped at 10 per business, but just something to think about there. So that's kind of Operation Intern. It is a great way to, to get students into your industry, whether it be, your HR accounting people. Some small businesses have used it to grow, so it's great to see. It is in our budget, so it does come through the Department of Commerce. So that's a little bit about the Operation Intern program. I believe I'll turn it over to Barry so he can talk about apprenticeships.
Okay, everybody still there? Hopefully. Let me figure out which button I'm pushing. All right, forward. Yes, hopefully. Okay, I'm Barry Dutton. I'm with the U.S. Department of Labor in the Office of Apprenticeship. I'm the state director here, so what I do is I work with entities all across the state, and I try and help them set up and establish registered apprenticeship programs. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Registered apprenticeship programs, this is the official definition. And I apologize to you, some of you might have seen these slides. I borrowed some of them from Maria when she gave her presentation during the governor's conference. So registered apprenticeship is basically, it's a structured occupational training program, and it combines on-the-job training and related instruction. It's pretty simple. Another take on it, I guess, it's one of the best kept secrets in the talent development pool. It's been around for a long time, but a lot of people just seem to misunderstand apprenticeship, I guess. People consider it the other credential. But it is a strategic approach for human resource people to create a pipeline of skilled workers. I'm finding out that a lot of companies now, during the oil boom, they had as many workers as they possibly needed. But now the jobs are running short, and they're finding out that they don't have the people trained to stay on and maintain the things that they have to do now. So they're coming to my office and they're looking, well, hey, I need to set up some kind of a program where I can train these people and keep them and retain them. It's probably the most underutilized strategy in our whole suite of workforce services. So I've been here for 10 years. I started, we had 400 apprentices, and we've grown now to almost 1,400. So a little bit of resurgence. It's having a little bit of resurgence in the U.S., and the president and the administration have started sticking quite a bit of money into apprenticeship in the last few years. There's still a lot of myths about registered apprenticeship. Everyone seems to think it's only for the construction trades. That's not true. We branched out to IT and healthcare, and a lot of different other high-speed occupations, high-wage, high-demand occupations. It's not a second chance system. It's not, if you can't go to college and you can't make it in college and you fall back and fall into a blue-collar apprenticeship. It's not that it's inconsistent with a college degree. We have designed now, we have the RAC, which is the Registered Apprenticeship College Consortium, and there are over 250, 260 colleges now that are registered. and they give credit for previous experience that was learned in an on-the-job training program, such as apprenticeship. There is a future to it. It's a pathway to a middle class. I've heard before that, gosh, I don't want my son, I don't want my daughter to be a plumber or to do things like that. But, you know, you turn around and some of the master plumbers and builders in North Dakota, they're making $50, $60 an hour. So it's definitely not shabby occupations that are out there. There's numerous opportunities across USA. We have about 1,500 registered apprenticeable occupations currently, and we're developing more and more each day in all sorts of fields. And the programs used to be set up on a lot of a time-based criteria. So if you were going to work to be an electrician, you had to stay in the program 4 years and 8,000 hours. Well, it's kind of been realized out there that these companies need the flexibility where they can accelerate some of their workers and they can take a little bit more time with them. So we've developed more and more, we've worked towards developing more competency-based programs and hybrid programs as well, just to give those employers that flexibility that they need when they're developing their workforce. Registered apprenticeship, it's revered in other countries. Germany, Switzerland, United Kingdom, they don't have the same kind of image that registered apprenticeship seems to have here in the U.S. In Switzerland, 40–50% of the employers offer apprenticeships over there. Full 2/3 of their high school graduates participate in them. In Germany, they either work and they go into post-secondary education at the college level, or they enter into apprenticeships. So, the U.S. Department of Labor, we've been sending our folks, Zach Bourne and a host of other people, the secretary, the assistant secretary, the deputy secretary, have been making a lot of trips to Germany, Switzerland, United Kingdom, trying to find out their best practices and pull some of those items back here. And of course, in the U.S. now, we have a host of German and Swiss companies that are over here working. So we've partnered with them. They've become our leaders, our champions of apprenticeship in some of these different fields, robotics, mechatronics, all sort of aviation, all sorts of different industries. So they've been quite helpful, and it's kind of changing the attitude of people here in the U.S. about apprenticeship. Didn't work. So, 5 components that you have to have for a registered apprenticeship program. We have to have an employer. We have to actually physically have someone, a business, that hires these people and pays them. I work with all sorts of agencies, and there's all sorts of different ways that we can structure different programs. The business can be the sponsor. They can use related training internally from their own sources. They can use related training from a college. They can use related training from a lot of places, but they still have to have an employer that's going to actually hire the person and pay them. They must lay out a structured and supervised OJT component to the program. So they have to sit down and basically put out a list and tell me, okay, this is our job, this is the work process to become an electrician, and this is the categories that we're going to work in, and approximately how many hours. There has to be a minimum of at least 2,000 hours to become an apprenticeable occupation. So at least 1 year. Apprenticeship programs run anywhere from 1 year to 6 years right now. The third component is they have to have related training and instruction. It's the RTI, we call it. So they have to have that on-the-job component where they're partnered with a mentor in the workforce. The mentor teaches them the daily tasks, the on-the-job things they have to do in and around the shop, the office, the job site, wherever it is. And then they have the related training component. This is occupational specific training. So it's a little different from college. You don't have to go to college and take 20, 30 different subjects, whatever the case may be. You're going to learn to be a CNC lathe operator. So why do I need to teach you about other things? I'm going to work on specific functions that the CNC lathe does. So that's where that related training component ties in, and we try and tie it in with the OJT as they progress through the program. There also has to be a reward for skill gains. So as they gain additional skills, their pay increases. That's some of the things we set up prior to the program being initiated. And then at the end, we issue them a National Occupational Credential. That comes from the United States Department of Labor, and it's simply a certificate that says you have met all the qualifications set forth by the United States government to become a CNC lathe operator, a fire medic, an electrician, a mechatronics operator, whatever the occupation is. So, those are the 5 components. An employer, on-the-job training with at least 2,000 hours. They have to have related training, so for every 2,000 hours there, they need at least 144 hours of related training is recommended. They have to be rewarded for the skills gained, and at the end they get their credential. The difference is we have the 5 components in every one of our programs. The non-registered programs, that's kind of the difference. Anyone can say, I'm running an apprenticeship program. And they might have a quality program. But they generally don't consist of the same components. They can say, I'm running an apprenticeship program and we teach the person X, Y, Z, and at the end, yes, they can be an electrician. It doesn't have the same oomph to it, I guess I would say. With the registered program, it's structured, it follows our regulations. My job is to go out and ensure that they're doing the things that they say they're doing. I do that by doing quality assessments. I go in, I ask the apprentice, how are you doing? How do you like your schooling? I make sure the employer's paying them. I make sure they're hiring them correctly. Make sure they're completing these people. And if they're not, what's the problem? What can we do to make the program better? As where some of the registered, the non-registered programs, they're just not structured the same. They're a little bit fly-by-night, I guess I'd have to say. So, that's basically the difference. What we do when I set up in a program is I sit down and I speak with the employer or the sponsor. We develop what we call standards of apprenticeship. The standards of apprenticeship, in its essence, is a contract. It follows our regulations from Code of Federal Regs 2929. Tells you what you have to have in an apprenticeship program. So in the program, it lays everything out. It includes a work process schedule that I mentioned before. And in that work process schedule, it says, this is the job. We're a widget maker. To be a widget maker, you must do X, Y, Z tasks on the job training, and then we'll also provide you with the related training component. So that's where those components are. They're in that standards of apprenticeship. Whoops, I think I went too far. This is just an example, excuse me, for a medical assistant. So the OJT lays out, it gives the code, it says it's about a 4,000-hour occupation, and it breaks it down in the general categories. Orientation and safety, the patient environment, vitals. This kind of lays these things out. Now, this is not hard, fast. I work with every employer, and I sit down, I give them a general overview. I say, is this actually what you do? Do you actually work 100 hours in orientation safety? Some companies might say, we work more, we work less. So I can work with the work processes and help with the flexibility on it. We still work out to about that 4,000 hours, but some places just train things a little bit different. So that's an example of their on the job, and this is an example of their related training. This one's a little bit smaller, so it would basically say, these are the book courses that we're going to do to go in conjunction with on-the-job training. And you can see it just kind of breaks them down the side. Customer service, patient financial, X, Y, Z. So at the bottom, it ends up saying 310 hours. For every 2,000 hours, I need 144. This would be a 2-year or 4,000-hour program, like it says. So I end up with 310 hours. That exceeds the 244 that we recommend. Benefits of registered apprenticeship programs. Once again, it's flexible training strategy. It can be customized to the needs of any business or any employer. Your apprentices can come as new hires, or they can be current employees. Registered apprenticeship helps businesses thrive by you gain highly skilled, highly productive employees. You reduce your turnover. You can increase your productivity. You lower the cost of recruitment. Increases in safety. You create a more diverse workforce and a new pool of workers. and it creates your career pathways. There's a lot of occupations out there now that we issue intern credentials, and one of the things I guess we'd be interested in talking about would be the CNAs. There's a lot of different intern credentials there that could be issued for these. So, moving on, we've got a lot of tools, a lot of resources that are out there now. Our website is changing all the time. As a matter of fact, it's kind of hard for me to stay up with it sometimes, but we've done a lot of work, and a lot of these new things are online for you. We have an Apprenticeship Toolkit that's online at this address. It's a complete set of tools and resources for the workforce system and for employers. It can help you learn about apprenticeship, decide how you want to build and structure your program, and even how you can go about implementing the program. We have the Federal Resources Playbook. This is an outstanding document that just came out after the Workforce Investment Opportunities Act in 2014, and it has a lot about all the federal resources that can be used to support registered apprenticeship from several departments. So these are all the U.S. Department of Education, Labor, Veterans Affairs, things like that. I guess maybe that's it. Maybe I ran out. No, I think I pushed one too many buttons. Another resource we have online is the RAC, the Registered Apprenticeship College Consortium. It's between the Department of Labor, Department of Education, and you can earn credits, like we spoke of, towards an associate or bachelor's degree. Now, one thing I failed to mention, I guess, during the presentation is that the training you do for an apprenticeship program, they can do the training while they're in the program, when they start the program. They can front load the training. They can take all the related training they need before they even enter the program, and all they might have left to do is the on-the-job training. So, like I said, flexibility is the key word. Currently, we have more than 250, almost 260 have joined the RAC right now. Here in North Dakota, I'm speaking with quite a few of our educational institutions. They're interested in apprenticeship, how they can tie in together with us. And some of them right now, currently, Wapenen has a degree program that they wrote for us years ago. And hopefully I can talk some of the other guys into doing the same thing. So these resources are online for you. There's a general question for us. It's Wade's, Jennifer's, my contact information. Kyle's, yours didn't get on there, and you probably had yours before.
Yep.
And this was a surprise because I had a different slide in there, so hopefully you deleted mine. I'm going to turn it back over to Wade.
So, thanks, Barry, and I guess this is the time of the presentation where if there's any questions. So if there's any questions, whether it's for Kyle or Barry or Jennifer or I, we're happy to take them. If you don't think of anything right now, like Kyle said, the slides will be on the Center for Nursing's website, and the contact information will be on there. But we'll open it up for any questions. Before we do that, though, I do want to make a quick comment. So Job Service North Dakota received an apprenticeship grant from the Department of Labor this summer, and then also they are taking some of the governor's set-aside Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act money to expand the use of apprenticeships in North Dakota. So they received $200,000 from DOL, and then also $150,000 is coming from the governor's set-aside. So with that $350,000, they will be hiring a contractor to go out across the state and educate people on apprenticeships, expand apprenticeships specifically in IT, manufacturing, healthcare, to get into those industries that apprenticeship really hasn't taken off in the state yet. And there are models across the country where it's already happening. So, and then just generally help Barry, because Barry is an office of one. So this contractor is going to do everything they can to expand that apprenticeship. And then one last thing, Barry wrote a note on his presentation. Next week is National Apprenticeship Week. Yesterday we met with the governor and had a proclamation signed. So that will be coming out here real soon, that the governor is also declaring it Apprenticeship Week in the state as well. So more to come on that. With that, any questions anybody may have? Patricia, I'll turn it over to you to referee this.
Sure, and I have unmuted all the lines. And I wanted just to add before we had questions that part of the reason why we hosted this webinar is because, well, first off, there isn't any nursing apprenticeships or really very much utilization of operation interns. So it's kind of a nice thought for employers to think about, you know, would you set up a CNA apprenticeship? You know, get them the training to become a CNA while they're working as a CNA. Could they go to an LPN program? Could you partner with a nursing education program to do that? And so some of that flexibility to use these models, to use some of the funding that is available to set these up. So does anyone have any questions? Has anyone on the call tried to set up an apprenticeship or is using the operation intern?
This is Mary Ann Marsh from Dickinson State University. And in our nursing education programs, we have an internship experience built into the clinical component. So no, we've not used the internship setup offered through the Department of Commerce.
Okay, great. So Wade, I'm guessing that's something they could look at applying for in the future?
It would need to be a paid internship, so if it's an unpaid, they wouldn't be able to. The way the program works, and maybe I missed this when Jennifer was presenting, but it is on a reimbursement basis, so when the intern is paid, a reimbursement form is submitted to Jennifer that we review and approve, and then the funds are back to the employer. So it would need to be a paid internship, which you know, obviously is a benefit for the intern as well. They're making money in the career that they are pursuing.
Mm-hmm.
Is there other questions from anyone? Go ahead. I heard someone there. All right. All right. Well, does Kyle, Wade, Jennifer, or Barry have any thing they'd like to say to wrap up, since it sounds like we don't have questions?
I will just put a banner on our homepage at ndcenterfornursing.org and also ndnurse.org. That'll link right to a page that has these PowerPoints, and then we'll put the webinar up on our YouTube page as well, and we'll have a link for that. Great. We'll also post it to our Facebook page.
And this is Wade again, and again, just thank you, Kyle and Patricia, for allowing us to do this, and anybody that's still on the line. Please contact us if we went through anything too quickly, or if you're going through the presentation later and you need some clarification. Feel free to contact us. We're happy to help, and if you see even changes, you know, can we do something a little differently in a program? Definitely take that into consideration as well, because we want our programs to meet the business and employers' needs most efficiently and as flexible as possible. So again, thank you, and turn it over to you, Patricia, unless anybody else has anything in the room.
Thank you very much, Patricia, for inviting me.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. And like they said, please don't hesitate to contact any of us if you want more information or to start any of these programs. We'd love to see more organizations start apprenticeships and utilize Operation Intern, Youth Forward, and, of course, the Career Center and other resources we have at the Center for Nursing. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It was very interesting.